Yeah, and it leaves something behind, too. Which, so you see 2 more cards in Joe's hand, Tarmogoyf and Maelstrom Pulse. Brennan's hand looks like he has Snapcaster Mage, Kolaghan's Command, Stubborn Denial, and one other hanging out there in the back.
Unfortunately, couldn't do anything to convert that Stubborn Denial against this Liliana.
No.
Snapcaster Mage, half as large as it needs to be. Looks like there was previously a Gurmag Angler. You see a bunch of exiled cards there for DeCandio. And then he just has, you know, the Angler and the Snapcaster in graveyard. He could use Kolaghan's Command to get either his creatures back. Can't cast a Gurmag Angler for a little bit of time. And the Snapcaster Mage, he has nothing he'll be able to flash back. But you do see him shoot down the Liliana and get Snapcaster anyway.
That's not terrible. Brennan is at 9. He's got to be careful here.
Is the card that Brennan just drew Liliana's Defeat?
It is.
Seems to be.
Liliana's Defeat. The very infrequently used destroy target Liliana card mode.
Yeah, you don't see that mode in Standard, or really that card.
But
it's a bit better in
clean.
Modern.
Yeah.
It's nice in Death Shadow Mirrors, and certainly against the other black mid-range decks.
Joe is going to activate Treetop Village. Yeah, this was the card. Destroy target black creature or black planeswalker. If it was a Liliana, they lose 3, and it was. So Treetop Village is hit by Fatal Push. Then Joe makes Tarmogoyf.
That is one that you would rather hit with Fatal Push than Treetop Village.
Good sequencing by Joe then to get the Fatal Push onto the other creature.
Brennan does still have that Snapcaster Mage, though.
Yeah, he may just remove both.
Once again, Brennan leaving up Stubborn Denial, but not a creature that gives it Ferocious.
Yeah, I'm not sure he's going to get to... he's getting to that point where we don't know if he's going to be able to convert Stubborn Denial.
Yeah.
Joe doesn't have that many targets, and he's starting to get a lot of lands in play.
And Joe just has a Treetop Village that's larger than Snapcaster Mage and a Hissing Quagmire that can trade with anything.
Even without red in the deck, there's plenty of creature land options.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those provide Joe a little bit more punch. Reaching for 3 mana. If he had another Liliana Last Hope, that would be super good. But there's a lot of stuff he could have here that just pulls ahead. His creatures, barring Death Shadow for DeCandio, just kind of outsize DeCandio's creatures in the matchup.
Tireless Tracker from Joe. No land to go with it, though. He's exposing. Might get shot down. Street Wraith cycled. Brennan goes to 7. If he draws a land here, I was going to say he could Snapcaster Kolaghan's Command, which would be really strong.
Draw was Tassiger. That's a fine one.
Yeah, it's fine. I like that.
Does not kill Tireless Tracker, though.
No, it'll keep it at bay for a while.
It does turn on Stubborn Denial.
I like that. And I think Joe does have a Maelstrom Pulse, so Tassiger could protect himself.
Yeah, with 4 lands on the battlefield here, you can exile everything but the Kolaghan's Command from graveyard and leave up Stubborn Denial from there.
Snapcaster will swing. No block on Joe's side. He goes to 11. And Tassiger. And Dan Brennan will delve away 3. Is there a reason you might want to keep something other than Kolaghan's Command?
So you don't want Street Wraith for sure. Liliana's Defeat's so narrow, so you might leave Gurmag Angler.
Yeah.
Because you'll be filling up your graveyard and maybe you get that one back. But I think the Kolaghan's Command is just the best card.
And that's what he does. So go back over Snapcaster and Stubborn Denial in Brennan's hand. Joe drawing Liliana of the Veil. Yeah, could have left out Liliana's Defeat. But he has 2 3-mana non-creature spells, so whatever he casts here, Brennan's gonna counter. And that's what happens. Maelstrom Pulse was hit. No land from Joe, he passes. Things look to be going Brennan's way. Draws another Snapcaster. Well, that's Sure.
Yeah, that's a fine draw. You wish that he had a 5th land to go with it, but can't have everything.
Swings both. Chalice Tracker will trade with Snapcaster Mage. Joe down to 7. Draws some sort of land, but another Snapcaster Mage should do it.
Yeah, so Joe goes for that trade because he has this Liliana, but
Yeah.
Brennan has that covered.
Yeah, and Joe's really playing away where he already can't beat Snapcaster, so he really wasn't respecting it, saying, I need this Liliana to answer your tasker, and if it doesn't, we're going to game 3.
Right.
They're going to game 3.
Yep.
Good play by Joe. I like that he didn't respect Snapcaster Mage there as well.
Yeah, I think he really could have reasonably done.
All right, well, we're going to have a great 3rd game here as Brennan DeCandio has evened the score up. Join us when we come back. It'll be the conclusion of the match between DeCandio and Bernal.
Go. Go.
Game 3 here, Bernal versus DeCandio. Bernal will be back on the plate. Now, what we saw there, and I think I was talking about this dynamic when we were talking about Bloodbraid Elf, was this is a fair fight. Black-green versus Grixis Shadow. It felt like Grixis just won the fair fight. You know, he drew more Snapcasters, he drew more Kolaghan's commands. He actually just he won the mid-range fight. When you play this matchup, do you play it assuming that you'll win the mid-range fight?
Yeah, there's really not much that would force you to be terribly aggressive in the matchup. And if you're just able to Snapcaster Kolaghan's command in whichever order, one gets back the other, you generally can pull ahead. You have to manage your opponent's Tarmogoyfs. That's the card they can kind of run away with the game with.
So now against something like an Abzan, you have to go aggressive because if you get into a fair fight, you generally lose.
With Grixis Shadow against Abzan, specifically Death Shadow, Lingering Souls is a pretty serious problem. Grixis Control actually has kind of gotten better against those archetypes just by having Electrolyze, and your deck just kind of got better. Opt was a big improvement, so you're better able to find your answers, and you can more effectively deal with Lingering Souls. But the Death Shadow deck against Lingering Souls just has to be pretty aggressive. Got to keep that from running over the game and chump blocking them into more time.
Big pick there for Joe. Ends up deciding to take the Thoughtseize from Brennan's hand. And this is something that's going to change next week, right? When your black-green opponents have Blood Braids, it's going to be tough to play a slugfest against them.
Yeah, it makes the matter a lot harder.
So no second line in Brennan's hand yet. We see Opt, 2 Opts in his hand. That Death Shadow, Snapcaster Mage, Liliana, and Thought Scour. Playing both Thought Scour and Opt for Brennan. He's
Yep, Thought Scour is a staple of the Grixis Death Shadow because of the delve threats.
okay. Oh, he doesn't have Serum Visions. There we go. Okay. I was thinking, is he on 12 cantrips? But no, just no Serum Visions.
No Serum Vision is a little interesting. Does not play nearly as well with Snapcaster Mage as Opt does.
And you can't play, what, 12 of them, right? That's too much.
Can and don't. Yeah, 12 is a lot.
Okay, yeah, can, yes, don't. Sure. Takes the Liliana. So he's happy to... I like what Joe's doing here. A lot of players in this situation, when seeing Brennan was stuck on one land, would try to get him on lands. You're like, oh, I'm going to start... Instead of me taking your Thoughtseize and your Lily, I'm going to take your Opt and your other Opt. And, like, I'm glad that Joe didn't go down that line. I think that's a trap.
Yeah, you want to be able to beat the spells if Brennan's able to cast them.
Now that I said that, Brennan is going to spend the Opts and miss his land drops. And
so it's like you took him anyway.
Yeah. Like, man, now we need to get his Opts. And I'm like, okay, at a certain point, yes, you should.
Before Opt was reprinted into Modern, Ari Lax was playing some sleight of hand, so there's a few people on that build. So they were playing more than
8?
More cantrips there. Thought Scour, Serum Vision's sleight of hand.
Scavenging Ooze from Joe. You see Brennan arranges his graveyard here. And Joe's going to immediately eat away, looks like a card out of the graveyard. Not sure what the pressure is. I guess he wants to stop a delve threat, so he just doesn't care.
Yep.
Okay. Brennan's in trouble, draws the Liana. Still no land. He's got a Thought Scour left.
Yeah, so you were asking me about the Grixis side being able to win a slugfest.
Well, this isn't a slugfest.
Yeah. You can't do it from behind.
Okay, there's no like comeback here where, okay, if I draw land, and I cast my Terminate and my Liliana, then it's fine, but no.
It depends how quickly Joe is actually closing the game.
Well, Joe doesn't have much. His hand was land, and he had just one other card as Brennan Thoughtseized him.
Yeah, once you saw the hand there is not doing too much.
Do you think it's interesting that Brennan, he Thoughtseized? He could have cast Fatal Push or a Thought Scoured for the land, but he actually just went with Thoughtseize.
Thoughtseize makes some sense. There's a number of spells that Joe can follow up the Scavenging Ooze with. Tarmogoyf, Liliana, that can make things a lot harder.
So Brennan's down to 13, and now we have a game. He hit an island. So he can Fatal Push and Thought Scour this turn. He could clear the board and try to recover. Now, Joe does have 2 creature lands, both Quagmire and a Treetop Village all ready to go.
Creature lands are nice. Joe has just drawn a lot of lands in general, though.
Yeah, it just means like Brennan has to continue answering these threats. You see Fatal pushes away the Ooze and passes. Maelstrom Pulse to pick up for Joe.
You have to ask yourself how much you want to enable a potential Death Shadow from Brennan. Do you want to connect with a Treetop Village this turn?
Yeah, he's got him to 13.
Brennan just has so many cards in hand, though. You have to get something going.
Treetop Village will hit. Another Treetop played by Joe. He passes. This does mean next turn he can make double Treetop. Brennan Thought Scours himself, draws, picks up Opt. Still no land, so he'll Opt main phase. Brennan he's struggling, but he does pick up Gurmag Angler, and yeah, he's got cards in the graveyard, no problem.
That's a pretty tempting one to keep.
It is. Joe has the Maelstrom Pulse, though, so if he does, Joe's response will be Pulse the blocker, hit for 3.
Yep. That's acceptable, I think, but he goes against it.
Yeah, so she's off on Gurmag's. So if he's shipping Angler here, then it's land or bust, right?
Yeah.
Maybe Fatal Push.
Found another Angler.
Oh. Did he find it off the Opt, or did he already have it?
I believe he found it.
Well,
if he already had it, then it makes a lot of sense to bottom, but I think he did draw it off
his
the
deck
Opt.
really wanted him to have Gurmag Angler.
Right.
And Joe plays lined up. Tapping both Treetops. Tireless Tracker, land, Clue, Pulse. I like that a lot more.
Yeah, that's significantly better than hitting with the Treetop there.
Yeah. No cards left in Joe's hand either. Street Wraith from Brennan. I'm not thrilled. Brennan's going for it, though, down to 8.
That's fine. He's still just making his shadows bigger.
Yeah, but we're getting into territory where, let's say he kills the like he can't cycle. He cycled the into Street Wraith. He can't cycle this one and then remove Tireless Tracker because he will lose to the 2 Treetop Villages.
Yeah, that second Street Wraith, that one much less good than the first.
That one stinks. And Brennan, I think the story is going to be he went too long without drawing lands, which, okay, you look at the first few turns and you say, yeah, of course that's how it's going to end. I actually still felt that in a lot of the middle of this game, Brennan could have recovered. He makes a Death Shadow. I mean, he might even still be able to.
Yeah, the deck has so many things that just cost 1 mana.
Draw for Joe. So on the board, Joe has 2 Treetops and a Tireless Tracker swinging. He could force Brennan to 2, but then he makes the Shadow an 11. I don't know.
That's not ideal. Brennan can't, if Brennan's at 2, he can't have a red mana source next turn.
Yeah.
Because he does not play Mountain. It would have to be a shock land. So you can take 11 or whatever. The question is, do you actually still win that game if Brennan has some follow-ups, say another Death Shadow?
I guess Joe's other out is just to hang out here and draw cards with Tracker, but then if he's going to do that, he's going to have to beat Brennan's 5-card hand. I don't like that. Yep. Maybe it's still what he does, though. Draws another card with Tracker. It's a fetch land. Now he can make Tarmogoyf, so Joe is going to try to just win the mid-range fight. I mean, he got an uncontested Tireless Tracker. I don't blame him.
Yep. He keeps that until next turn. That fetch land combines really nicely.
Tarmogoyf here, so we have our main 4. Nothing.
I believe Joe has Liliana in his graveyard. Is that still the case, or did he? Was that exiled? Or was that the other?
That was the other game.
That was the other game. That's what it was. Ha ha. Yeah, just the.
So 4/5. Brennan picked up Polluted Delta, so it's a land. He does have a swamp, so he could only take 1 off that. Got to be careful.
And no red spells in hand. He doesn't necessarily need to go for something other than the swamp.
Yeah, I mean, he can go Liliana minus. That's a fine play here. His Shadow become a 6/6. He's got to be careful, though. He can't go below. He can't go down to 6. Actually, he basically has to play the Liliana. Otherwise, Joe playing activate, swing with 4 creatures kills him. So he goes to 5. He takes the full 3 from Blood Crypt. He's got another plan. So many creature lands here. We'll see. So Snapcaster Fatal Push looks like is what he wanted. That will take care. Okay. Takes care of the Tracker because he had Revolt from that Polluted Delta.
Yep. 2
Good.
blockers online.
Tarmogoyf a 4/5. Shadow's an 8/8. So he's safe so far. If Joe draws another land here, Brennan can claw out.
Yeah, that fetch land in Joe's hand got a lot worse with that Tracker off the
battlefield.
battlefield.
Hold on. Ryan, isn't... No, I was going to say, isn't 2 Treetops lethal? I don't think so.
Yeah, the Snapcaster chump blocks Tarmogoyf.
Yes.
Death Shadow in front of 1 Treetop.
That said, it's not a... You might still do it. Because Joe can do that and have the follow-up of crack fetch land, make Dark Confidant, there's a lot to like. However, it would make Brennan's Death Shadow an 11/11. Do we care?
It's a scary number.
Yeah, I mean, I normally wouldn't think my Grixis opponent, if they had Battle Rage, which if you know Brennan, he won't. We all have 1. Let me see. I don't think they're still in post board. They usually aren't, right? In this matchup?
In this matchup, yeah, you're pretty disincentivized to have it.
But you'd hate to take a game like this and then lose because they kept it in.
Yeah. It's pretty low opportunity cost to have the 1 in.
And Joe's going to make the play. Activates 2 Treetop Villages, swings. Brennan loses. Oh, no, he did it the right way. Okay, he did it the right way. Sorry, I thought he blocked the wrong. Brennan goes to 2. Joe, fetch. Make Dark Confidant, says go. And remember, he does have a Quagmire in place. If he draws a land, Joe can still make 2 creature lands. He can make 4 lethal attackers. If Dark Confidant survives, you have to think that's what's going to happen.
Now, Joe just has a bunch of creature lands and 7 lands. Still 2 villages on the table, looks like.
Yeah, I mean, Joe's deck, he has 3 Treetop Village, 2 Hissing Quagmire in it.
Don't see too many Treetop Villages anymore in Modern. It is kind of nice to see them back.
Yeah, that's a really good creature land.
Yeah.
I guess a lot of times people are playing the land that come enter the battlefield tapped lands because they want a dual land and it's just there's some upside.
Yeah, once you're 2 colors, though. I swear he is on Quagmire as well, but the Treetop Village.
Yeah.
He can afford monocolored lands.
Dark Confidant draws a land. Joe draws a card. See if that changed the math at all. Brennan made a Death Shadow. He can also put a Snapcaster Mage into play. But that's only 3 blockers, and there's 4 attackers possibly.
Yeah, with Joe making the attack last turn, you got to figure he's making it again this turn.
I would. He did draw Tireless Tracker, so there's another option where Joe, instead of making the attack, could just start making tracker clues again, but he's not. Activate, activate, swing with 4. Show me what you got, Brennan, and he's got nothing. It's Joe Bernal, black-green mid-range. Makes it across the finish line. Brennan was recovering, but it was too late. And Joe, we saw him win in round 1. Now we're seeing him win in round 5. He hasn't lost in between him. He's 5-0.
Yeah, and there was some concern at various points where maybe the spell quality of straight green black relative to